Can you hear me okay? Okay, great. Thanks very much. Wonderful introduction, wonderful venue. I thought I was going to feel overdressed, but actually I feel underdressed. I need a top hat and a feather boa or something. Real pleasure to be here today. My name's James Pearce. As Carl said, or as the slide says, I'm responsible for mobile developer relations at Facebook. Yes, there we go. Just wanted to spend a few minutes today, very fortunate to share with you some of the thoughts around how we want to work with the developer community, app developers like yourselves, and how we can help empower you in the mobile ecosystem to be as successful as possible. When you think about Facebook, what do you think about? Do you think of us as a website serving social services to 845 million people, sharing pictures, messages, experiences, communicating and being connected with their friends? Or maybe you think of us as a mobile experience. We have 425 million people using Facebook on the mobile platforms that we support. And we use web technologies to support everything from the lowliest feature phone all the way up to touch-enabled smartphones. Or maybe you think of our apps, our native apps, both on Android or iOS or on the many platforms that our OEM partners support. And of course we do think about all those things, and we do work very hard to improve those, but if that was all we did, I wouldn't be here today. They wouldn't even have a developer relations department, which would be very sad. So the reason I'm here, of course, is that we think of ourselves also as a platform upon which developers like yourselves can build compelling social and mobile applications. You might be asking yourself, well, what is a social application? Well, we work a lot with companies like yourselves who are building applications, and what we've discovered and what we've realized is that if an application has social design at its core, if it models itself around the way that users interact with their friends, it is far more likely to be successful than the same app would be if it did not. A couple of examples from our own history, the Facebook photo sharing app, which we launched back in 2005. At the time we launched this, there were many photo sharing apps out in the marketplace already, from Flickr to Picasa, etc., etc., all of which were very, very feature-rich. They supported photo cropping, rotation, red eye reduction, and so forth. When Facebook launched, obviously before my time, the company didn't have the time or the resources to be able to match those other competing photo sharing apps feature-wise. So the application was launched with one feature only, which was tagging, the ability for users to tag their friends in the photos that they were sharing. It goes without saying that that's pretty much the main thing people want to do when they're sharing a photograph, is to tag the friends and family members and so on that are in those photos. 7 years on, we're pushing something like 250 million photos a day up into this application. And it turns out that tagging friends is more important than rotation, than cropping, than editing, and than red eye transformation, red eye reduction, none of which we have still. Another example is games. So back in 2007, the gaming community was all about bigger and better hardware, console games, more vertices per second, more polygons per second, photorealistic gaming, volumetric fog. But the games that were launched on Facebook, on the platform in 2007, were none of those things. They were very plain, very simple games, but they had that one feature that really mattered, which was that you could play games with your friends. And again, it turns out that playing games is a very social activity. So despite the fact that it didn't have all of those extra, exciting features that the traditional gaming applications did, we clearly have many partners and applications that have built social games and have become very, very valuable with them. Turns out that friends beat volumetric fog. This thing goes double. And of course on mobile this is even more the case. So the mobile device, I don't need to tell you, is the ultimate social device. These devices have unique capabilities within them. and they have unique contextual advantage over the desktop. That's why we're so excited about Facebook. And as our CTO, Brett Taylor, said this morning in the MWC keynote, if Mark Zuckerberg had built Facebook today, it would never have been a desktop app. It would have been a mobile app from the very start. It's such a natural fit for Facebook, and it's such a natural fit for companies like you who are building applications that rely on these social interactions. So for that reason, we extended our platform capabilities to mobile at the end of last year, in about October, providing SDKs and APIs that allow you to directly hook in to the Facebook social graph and open graph, so that you can wire your applications up in this way. Already we've had fantastic success. We've had, we have 60 million mobile users monthly using Facebook apps, accounting for 320 million visits per month. So, hopefully that piques your interest as a potential opportunity for your own apps. But we also know that it's not all plain sailing. I've been a mobile developer for a long time, and I've been working with mobile developers for a long time too. And I know there are a lot of challenges that we all face in trying to get this stuff to work, particularly when we look at mobile web and HTML5. And those issues, the same old issues come up again and again. How do you get your apps discovered? How do you make sure that they are distributed well and that your users engage with them and re-engage with them? How do you tackle browser and platform diversity, both between platforms but also within platforms? And finally, how do you make money out of it? We're not doing this for fun, right? Ultimately, we want to be paid for our endeavors. So we think that Facebook has a unique opportunity to solve many, or help solve many of these problems, which is what I'd like to just run through now. Discovery I've already alluded to. We believe that the social interactions of applications can be a core part of the way in which your apps get distributed and discovered. So whilst there is clearly an existing precedent for curated directories of apps, particularly for native platforms, we think there's another way. And that way is to use the social interactions that people have in these applications, to share those applications with their friends, to share the activities that they're performing within those apps, and help those apps be discovered that way through the use, for example, of our Open Graph protocol that allows people to share what they're reading, in the case of the Washington Post app, what they're eating in terms of food spotting, what they're listening to with apps like Spotify. And that creates this social distribution through both our apps and the mobile website, which already is proving very, very successful. The Washington Post, which launched just at the end of last year, is driving 10 million visitors to its site every month, both on mobile and desktop. Payments is another area. We know how difficult it can be for you guys to monetize your apps. We believe that payments should be as simple as selecting your payment method, confirming, and then completing the transaction. And mobile web in particular, it's never been as easy as it should be. SMS-based notifications, copying and pasting code, everything else. We think it should be as simple as this, and so today we're very proud to announce that we've teamed up with the battery's gone. There we go. We've teamed up with 8 carriers around the world to bring carrier-based billing to mobile web apps, all built into our standard Facebook SDK, so you'll be able to access these payment mechanisms in a way that we think you haven't been able to do before. And then finally, this is an issue dear to my heart. Well, I'm not sure if challenges can be dear to one's heart, but anyway, it's something that I've had to deal with throughout my mobile career, and I know many of you do too, which is diversity. How do you tackle the fact that all of these platforms are different? And particularly in the mobile web, we talk about the excitement and the challenge of HTML5, but in reality, it's still extremely difficult because the browsers are all different. Some of them don't support what they're supposed to. Some of them literally don't support stuff at all. Some of them aren't as performant as others. And generally, for a developer, it's a very, very frustrating experience. But if you remember that we ourselves are trying to bring the Facebook mobile experience through web technologies to 2,500 different devices, we know we need to understand how HTML5 and mobile web technologies work and how we can make them work better. This clicker is driving me crazy. So we're very proud to announce today that we have, together with over 30 industry leaders, created a W3C community group. It's called the Core Mobile Web Platform Community Group. And really what we're trying to do with this group is help the industry to understand what does work and what doesn't work with HTML5 and the browsers that are available today. Now this is, we think, an impressive lineup of companies. We've got carriers, operators, handset manufacturers, browser vendors, but most importantly, developers. And we encourage you, as developers, to join this community group. It's free of charge and also free of IP restrictions. In order to help prioritize what it is you want to see mobile browsers do today, and use this group as a way to channel that voice and influence browser behavior. So for example, if you're a social app, you want to include photo sharing in your application, you cannot do that today on the mobile web. No mobile browser will give you access to the camera. It's criminal, in my personal opinion. How can we make sure that browsers start to implement existing standards for accessing camera capabilities? If you're building a music application and you want to use the mobile web, you will be challenged by the lack of audio APIs. You will be challenged by the lack of DRM and streaming capabilities. This, again, is a very important thing that browsers need to start to support. And finally, if you're a gaming app, you know how frustrating the mobile web platform can be. You need hardware-accelerated canvas. You need WebGL. You need something as stupid as orientation lock. So we hope that that voice, those kinds of themes, will come through in this group, and we'll be able to ensure that the browsers begin to implement them. And to complement that, today we're launching a mobile web test suite called Ringmark, which you can visit right now. The URL is rng.io or ringmark.org. And this is a test suite that actually takes some of those specifications that we think are important to you, to developers, and will actually test the browser live and give you a score and tell you how well it supports those features. And we're hoping to donate this Ringmark test suite to that working group or to that community group so that we can start to use this to evaluate which browsers are better and which need to be worked on. And you as a developer can see which of your target platforms are providing the capabilities that your apps need. So if you want more information on any of those activities, please visit the mobile web community group at coremob.org. And also I should say that if you're interested in what we're doing at Facebook in general for developers, our blog, which is developers.facebook.com/blog, will have more information on all the announcements I've mentioned, but also tell you about the events we're running, the SDKs that we're releasing, and so forth. So I think I'm pretty much done. I'm sure I've used up all my 15 minutes now. I just wanted to finish off by saying, well, okay, there's a Chinese proverb which goes something like, may you live in interesting times. I'm not sure if it's a proverb or a curse. I suspect it's a curse. But by choosing to work in mobile, we've chosen that destiny. We've chosen to live in interesting times. Personally, I find that very exciting. And I want to make sure that those times are as interesting as they've ever been and continue to get more interesting. But I also want to make sure that it's not a curse, that it's a blessing, and that working in interesting times with great and exciting and innovative companies across the industry, we can help bring great user satisfaction, great developer satisfaction, and make the industry as a whole successful. Very excited to see what you guys come up with today. Looking forward to being a judge. I wish you all the best of luck in your mobile future today and tomorrow, and best of success to you all. Thank you very much.